Welcome to Inkpulp Audio Visual. Today I'm here again with my buddy Jeff Dekal.
What's up?
And we've got a very important topic we're going to cover today, something we were going to record in person during our Emerald City trip, but as you know, that got canceled. So I'm going to switch my video to my desk, and then we're going to get going over there. And I'm going to switch my audio. All right, coming over to my desk now. All right, Jeff, you can hear me good and everything?
Yep, all good.
All right, so I'd imagine it was a few months ago now, you had turned me on to this Instagram account of a person by the name of David Goggins.
Yeah, man.
And his Instagram account very much is motivational, intense, awesome, full of challenges. And you told me he had a book that you listened to a bunch of times and kind of changed your life a bit.
Absolutely.
All right, so why don't you intro the book, because I've listened to it now 3 times and it's definitely changed my life too. So I figured we could just have a long talk about what is in this book and how it's affected us. So tell me about your discovery of this book and what it did for you.
So the first time I heard about David Goggins was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Rogan had heard of him, never met him, but he would talk about him, quote him and stuff. And, after hearing his name a few times, it's just, I was like, oh, that's that guy Rogan talks about. Then he had him on the podcast one day. And that was the first time I ever saw David Goggins, heard him speak and everything. And shortly after, he released his first book, basically an autobiography called Can't Hurt Me. And it chronicles his life and his trials and tribulations, where he came from, what made him the person that he is today, his philosophy on life, suffering, growth, the human spirit, a lot of stuff. He is a former Navy SEAL. I think it's been broken since, but he had the world record for pull-ups in 24 hours. He did the most, thousands. I forgot the number.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that part of the book. There's so much in there.
Yeah, he's done multiple, like, fucking 100-mile marathons. I mean, he's a runner. Just an incredible guy. But his philosophy on suffering, that really hit home. I doubt I've done a fraction of the suffering that he's done, and I doubt I've even done a fraction of the suffering that the fucking world has done, but I have my share. And at the time, I was going through something, and it helped me a lot. Just hearing his words, his philosophy, applying it, sort of knowing that I wasn't alone and everything, that always helps.
So let me expand. So he does talk about suffering a lot. And he does talk about how that suffering was kind of important to him, right?
Yeah,
and helped him. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like a catalyst to build the human spirit.
Right. And I think that's something that I really want to get into today, because we live in a world, and he says this in the book, where we live in a world where everyone's kind of soft, like everything's so easy and so available.
Oh yeah.
And it weakens the mind. And people have such problems nowadays with any little bit of adversity.
Exactly.
Kind of backs up what he's saying. It's like, you've got to strengthen your mind. Like, life is chaotic and crazy, and it's full of shit. And you've got to learn to deal with it. And it's like we're living in this day and age where people just don't want to deal with it at all. They want to build systems that don't allow for
That's exactly right. And the irony is that that's how we evolved, man. Like we
Right,
evolve, like we live. And I said this in our last podcast, and I got it from Rogan, man. Like we live on a rock rotating around a fireball, hurling through black infinity.
right,
Like that is not a safe situation, you know? And the
right,
world, the way the planet evolved, the way organisms on this planet evolved, you know, survival of the fittest, all that. Imagine going through a winter without shelter. You know, like not know, oh, winter's coming. Who's gonna die this winter? You know, I mean, that's how we evolved. You know, and
right,
now we have air conditioning. Now we have Amazon. Anything you want is delivered to your doorstep in a day or two, and
right.
we've been used to this system that we built for ourselves. That, as you said, just makes people so soft, and like just a little bit of adversity can be too much for people, you know.
Right, and it's not to minimize like the pain and suffering people are feeling. It's you to try to talk about how that's an opportunity to grow,
Yeah, how to handle it, yeah, how
and
to handle
also
it properly.
right, and to change your expectations that life is hard
Yep.
and that adversity is part of it. And so what David Goggins did was he took extreme adversity. He went from child abuse,
Yep.
like incredible, like this awful story of living this life of abuse as a kid, poverty, racism. I mean, he experienced it all, and even in getting into the military, how physically and mentally challenging becoming a Navy SEAL was,
Yep.
and how every step of the way he had seemingly more adversity than most everyone around him.
Yep.
And he basically turned his life into a study of the strength of the mind, or strengthening the mind.
Yep. That's
And
exactly it.
so when you turn this book on to me, I mean, I think listeners of the podcast know a little bit that I've been really putting a lot of time and energy into myself to grow lately. And if you've listened to this from the beginning, I think I was in a pretty weak mental state when I started, and I'm finding more happiness and growth these days. And this book hit me at a time where I was starting to go through my growth. I was listening to other books that were helping me, but this one made me think about a lot of stuff. And now it's about I seize opportunities now where like there's adversity and challenges, and I try to like lean into them, whereas before I would have leaned away from them.
Hmm.
Have you done that sort of same approach?
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know, you and I, maybe we probably live similar lifestyles because we're both artists. We both have the same career, and you know, our days being a freelance artist, you know, besides the mental stuff of, you know, cooking dinner, feeding your, you know, your kids, making money, all that stuff, our day to day while we're drawing, you know, we could be sitting down just drawing at a desk, you know, and it's like that's not hard, you know, it's not hard physically. Yeah, it could be hard mentally, you know, because we're
Yeah, yeah,
challenging ourselves with our drawing. But I mean, Goggins, you know, I said this quote on the other podcast, you know, or whenever when me and Eric were just talking, you know, stress the body to test the mind. You know, it's
right, right.
we don't do that, you know, as artists, not normally or naturally, because we're just kind of sitting and drawing. So I'm in the gym every day. You know, like I need to do something hard. You know, I need to do something. And again, like you know, there's always the macro and the micro. Like what's hard for me is nothing compared to someone else, and what's hard for someone else could be nothing compared to me. So I'm only going to speak for me. But I get in the gym every day, you know, and I lift hard. I stay on the fucking stairmaster longer. I put more weight on. You know,
Right.
in the gym and yeah, just any kind of opportunity that I can find in this very civilized life. Uh, you know, I try. I did one of those ice baths. I think like last year I did it. That was crazy. You know, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, that stuff like that, I'm fine. Like I was going to the gym regularly before I heard this book, but the book has made me approach the gym very differently.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't working out harder before, but I'm pushing myself farther. I basically could only run about for 15 minutes before the pain in my like shins and calves was what I perceived as unbearable and telling me to stop.
Right.
But then after listening to this book, I was like, this is something I'm going to see. I'm going to seize this opportunity.
And
And
one of my favorite quotes from Goggins, and it's actually the quote that Rogan used first, that kind of got my attention to who this guy was. Is Goggins has a 40% rule. He
right,
says that people quit after 40% of their potential. They still have this another 60% to go that is untapped, unused, but they quit because they think it's too hard. He kind of says like 100% would basically be death, like you're dead, like if you give
right.
100%, right?
And he's
So
pushed it about to 99.
yeah, on that one particular race in the book,
Yeah,
where he's pissing blood and
yeah,
all that shit, man. So I never gone that hard, but yeah, but I mean, I feel it like when you feel it. It doesn't even gotta be in the gym. It could be, you're in a, you're having a tough conversation with someone. You kind of you kind of stop before the conversation might be over because you get uncomfortable, or just things, man. Just like as soon as we start feeling uncomfortable, the mind is like, "Oh, get out of the situation. Let's quit." I mean, when I'm
yeah,
doing, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't do a ton of cardio, but when I do cardio, it's like, man, I want to get off the stairmaster in a minute or two. That's
right,
that's a sign that you need to keep going. Like
exactly.
if you feel like you got to get off or you got to stop doing something, that is literally saying keep doing it.
Dude,
Don't.
and it goes for your art too. Like you're working on a piece and you're like, this is terrible. I suck.
Yeah, yeah,
And you got to keep pushing through it and keep working it. And it'll get better, but ultimately you'll get better. You'll learn from that too.
yep.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
nowadays, if I'm struggling with a piece, that's exact proof to me that it's going perfect. And I just got to keep pushing through it and find that spot that you just get through that hard spot and it'll all be worth it.
totally, totally. Yeah, I see now, like anytime I feel like, all right, this is getting too hard, or if I just feel that like pang of like I need to like not push it, that's exactly when I know I need to push it.
Exactly, man. And
And
I
so,
think, yeah, and that's the test, man. That's the test. That's the whole like fucking survival of the fittest, man. Like because that person that's not meant to have it, they're gonna quit. And the person that is meant to have it, they're gonna keep going and they're gonna get whatever it is.
that's exactly right. Yeah, and he makes the point that it's not like through all of his challenges and through all of his journeys, like people start to tell him, "You're like a freak of nature.
Right.
You're like this like natural born athlete," but he's anything but that. He's anything but a freak of nature, and he has all these physical conditions that should have killed him
Exactly.
throughout his life. And he's like, no, I'm not a freak. I'm just someone who pushed myself. And he's living proof of what we are capable of as individuals.
Yeah. I love what he says where he's like, he talks about like if there's a God and God created us or whatever, and God, when God was creating everybody, he's like, okay, that person's gonna have this much potential, that person's gonna have that much potential. He said he wants to fucking die, and when he sees God, he wants God to say, oh shit, I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
Like he wanted to like impress God, with
yeah,
with
yeah,
his
exactly. This dude is so mentally hard.
yeah.
It's crazy. Um, uh, so I guess like this is a good topic during this coronavirus shit because we're all being challenged in all different kinds of ways.
Right.
And I think, I mean, for me, I've leaned into the to a lot of the challenges. Like physically, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it without my gym, without my yoga classes. Um, but I become very comfortable and used to that. And so the challenge then is like, all right, so life is like, stop, don't get too used to things. Let's let's figure out how to make this, to see this as an opportunity. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, man.
I'm learning
Being
to see this as an opportunity. So I mean, I said this before, but I'm doing yoga in my studio. Outside running now, which honestly, a year ago, I would have been like, my shins and my calves can't handle it.
yeah,
But I went out there the first day. I didn't know how long this run would be. I knew it's around a lake near my house.
yeah,
And I was like, I know it's at least a mile. And I know what I've been doing on the treadmill because for the past, I don't know, 2 months since listening to the book, when I was like, I can't go more than 15 minutes on a treadmill before my legs are just killing me
yeah,
and I have to stop. So my goal was by the end of the year to be doing 45-minute runs, getting in about 4 miles per run. So I'd been pushing myself and I was up to 25 minutes. And anytime I felt that little pang in my calf or my shin, I would say to myself, all right, like you said, we all stop at 40%. So I'd be like, all right, that's 20. That's 20% right there. I
yeah,
got another 80% in me in terms of the pain I can handle. So I just keep running. And I think the first week, like I would get to the 40. Like at the end of my run, I'd be like, all right, what I'm feeling now, that's 40. So I'm good. And then I pushed my run. And he talks about this, like using like 10% increments to increase your challenge, 5 to
mm,
10%. So you're not risking injury, but you're also not staying comfortable.
right,
And so I'd gotten up to 25 minutes. And even then, like I noticed that my mind was shifting because what I had considered 40% before had now become like 15%.
right, man. That sliding scale, man. That's everything, you know.
Yeah. So when this virus hit and I started running outside, I was like, I'm just going to run around this lake. I know it's at least a mile. I was guessing.
Yeah,
And I did it, man. And I haven't run outside in years. And that shit hurt.
yeah,
And I definitely got to my 40%, but I didn't get past 40%, and I made it. And I was like, all right, that's great. And so for the rest of that week, I did that 3 days that week. And by the end, I was finding a little groove. Like the first day, I felt like my feet, like I had no rhythm to my run at all. It was just clumsy and painful. But then
yeah.
I was getting my groove. And then after a week of doing it, I said, let me track it in the car, 1.8 miles.
Damn. So it was more than a mile.
Yeah, a lot more than a mile.
Yeah,
And it
nice.
just shows you the prisons you build in your head.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I know it's 1.8 miles. So then the next week, I did it 3 more times. There were 2 more times this week. And I remember saying, next week, I'm going to increase it by 5%. And I started my run yesterday. I was like, all right, this is the last run of this, and then I'm going to increase it. And that's
Right.
when I said to myself, no, Sean, just because you said that, that means you need to do it today.
Right.
And I did it. And it's just 5% increase, which like the first day I started, when I hit that finish line, I could not imagine going further. But I went 5% more effortlessly this time. I mean, I was at my like 35% pain threshold,
Right.
but I did it. And so I'm just going to keep pushing it. I mean, I don't know how long we're going to be in this seclusive lifestyle, but maybe I can get around twice. That would be
Right.
pretty fucking incredible.
And I think something that's important is like to go into situations, um, like to psych yourself out for the situation you're going into. So when you're going running, when I'm gonna go lift weights, it's like the whole point is to experience some fucking suffering, man. Like, dude, when
Right,
you're
right.
when you're working out so hard, you better get sore. You better be on that last rep, gritting your teeth, pushing that shit. Like that's the whole point. So if you're not doing that, then what's the point, man? Like if you're, that's the place to do it.
Exactly. And that got me also, I was very comfortable in yoga with the same idea. Like what I thought was like pain telling me to don't push it. It was just comfort. It was me being too comfortable. So yeah, I did the same thing in yoga. I started pushing myself farther. But in a different way where I was surrendering more. I wasn't like fighting myself, like gritting my teeth. I was trying to find calm
Yeah.
in the uncomfortableness. And because of that, I'm finding ways in my everyday life to introduce, you know, uncomfortableness, pain, whatever you want to call it, into my everyday situations to strengthen my mind, to become calm. So like in the shower every morning, after like when I'm done showering, I put that on all the way to cold.
Yeah.
And I sit under that water and just try to breathe slowly and calmly. Because normally you get all like tensed up and everything in you is like, get out of the cold, get out of the cold.
Yep.
But I'm just trying to calm my breath down, calm my mind down, and just be in it. And like I get like a good solid slow 5 breaths on my back, and then I do my shoulder, like all my joints. I mean, I'm doing it for therapeutic purposes, but also to really strengthen the mind.
Yeah, it's almost like we build up like antibodies for discomfort, you know? Like
Yeah,
when you go through a kind of suffering and you make it through it and you realize, oh, I got this, you know, it wasn't anything. It's like the next time it ain't shit, you know?
right. And then
And
when it's over, there's such a calm you feel.
yeah, and that goes for physical and mental. My first breakup with, my first breakup, my first losing my first love, that was so devastating for me, man. And
Right.
I've had breakups since then that, nothing's going to compare to that first love, but I've had breakups since then that I thought were going to be so much worse, but I remember like feeling like the familiarity and then realizing, no, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to handle it like that. I'm not going to go through that like that again. You learn, man, like those things are imprinted, so
Right, right.
same thing with the running. I mean, it's like you build it up. Okay, I did a mile and a half. That's not going to, I'm not going to be affected by that like that anymore. It's nothing for me now,
Yeah.
to go a little bit extra,
And
so
I'm applying it to career shit too. Shit that used to eat me alive with, not getting work or whatever it is, just not feeling like you're up to par, but just applying that. All right, well, this is a challenge now. Let me not react with emotion. Let me
right.
just calm down and figure out what I got to do. Like the virus knocks out a bunch of people's finances.
Yep.
And instead of like just going around complaining all the time, which is probably what I would have done years ago, sit down, make a plan.
Yep. And
It's
then
you're
and
it's
then and then you attract what you put out. So,
that's a good point.
let's say, we're at a con and we're in a big conversation, whatever, there's all these people. If you start complaining or getting in that kind of vibration, whatever term you want to use, those people in that mind state, they're going to connect with you. And then after everybody kind of disperses, dinner's over, whatever, those are the people you're going to talk to, and y'all are going to just kind of continue complaining about shit. But if you're just like, nah, I got this, fuck that, even right now, this podcast, like that, the stuff we're talking about right now, like, dude, if we got on a podcast saying, oh, talk about how the virus is messing you up, talk about how the virus is, hurting you, it's like that would be that mindset, and those people are going to connect. But when you talk about just strength and overcoming, I mean, that's who you're going to connect with. You're going to connect with those, with people
Dude,
like that, and that's
exactly.
what's going to come back, and that's what's going to flourish, and that's what's going to continue on. That's what you're going to put out, and that's what you're going to get back. And you want to get that cycle going of that mind state. That's you can do what you want with your life, but for me, those are the people I want to be around. That's the energy that I want
Yep,
circulate.
yep, yep. And look, I mean, you just nailed it. This podcast, I felt like had become like you said, it was vibrating at a frequency where I was just like complaining. And look, I was I feel like I was like a child, like I wasn't prepared for life. I
Yeah.
wasn't able to handle stuff, but that I was attracting a lot more of that. And I was, after a while, I was like, wait a minute, I need to change the tone of this so that this podcast can help lift me up and lift those that listen to it up, like, let's stop holding on to the ground where we're at. Let's reach for the sky a little bit.
Yeah.
And so conversations like this are exactly where I wanted to steer it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like examples from the book, because there's so much in that book
Yeah.
that's
Bring
so
up.
helpful.
Yeah. It's
Is there a place you think we should start?
what's popping into your mind right now? Because the book's a little bit more fresh for you. I read it a little bit. It's been a
Yeah,
little
I
bit.
guess there's so much. I guess callousing the mind is an idea. The accountability mirror. Let's start with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. People
So
wanna.
when he's like in high school and he's really at the bottom again, where he's on the verge of failing out of high school, he's
Yeah.
basically become just an absolute bullshitter, and he's a cheater, he's a liar, and he's basically at the point where all that living that way is about to catch up with him, and he might not graduate high school, and his dream at this time is to be in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And now he's seeing that because of his behavior, his dream may not happen. And he says he goes into the bathroom, the shower is running, it's heating up, and he looks into the mirror and he sees himself, like really sees who he is for the first time. And the bathroom's filling with steam, and he's wiping the steam off the mirror, and he, for the first time in his life, has a conversation with himself about who he is and what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the moment that changed everything for him, where he
Yeah.
was honest for the first time with himself, and he started to write down little post-it notes. Do you remember, were those goals he was setting
Um.
that he
I
would
I don't
post on?
I I don't remember specifically, but I feel like the overarching theme of that is like it doesn't matter. And this is, this is a quote. This isn't anything that I came up with, man. It's like it doesn't matter the situation or the circumstances. All that matters is how you handle it.
Right,
And so what he was doing before is blaming everybody. Um, you know, blaming everybody else when it's. I forgot his examples, but just I hear all the time, friends. They blame the system, if they have a felony, I can't get a job, or they blame this for that, they blame this for that. It's like that doesn't matter, man. Like it's how
right,
you go forward. It's not what happened. Okay, so you can get hung up on the past for the rest of your life, okay.
right,
No, man,
right,
just okay, now you're a felon. Move forward. That's it.
right,
End of
right,
story. End of
and
story.
right, and like nowadays, like with this soft culture of like everyone finding a way to be a victim, it's like, yeah, it
Exactly.
sucks,
Yes.
it's
Exactly.
unfair, but move forward.
Exactly. There's
Like, just
nothing you can do. There's just there's nothing you can do. You're letting them win. Like
right,
you're losing. Like if you stay in that frequency, that vibration, whatever word you want to use, you're just forfeiting your life, man. Like you're literally giving up the win. You know.
right. And if you're feeling like you're a victim and you're just sort of settling into that place, you're letting them make you a victim.
Exactly. Yep.
Like, get up, get out, fight back. And also, like, a lot of it is like, don't worry about what other people are thinking so much.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing. It's hard with the internet, I guess, but we do have to uh, understand what's important, and who to really listen to. And
Yeah.
Goggins talks about that too. Like, he was called the N word in like this high school situation he describes,
Yeah.
and it made him for a while look at his high school as like, I was a victim of racism. And he's like, and what I didn't see was the hundreds of people who liked me and who didn't care. I just paid attention to that one person that called
Right.
me that one name.
Right. It's almost I mean it's fucked up, but it's like our human nature to do things like that. It's like if we post a painting and we get 20 comments saying how great it is, and then that one asshole says something stupid. That's the one that we remember, and that's the one we want to
Right.
reply to, and all that. That's like, it's weird that that's human nature.
Yeah, it's totally weird.
Shit, I was gonna, I had a point I was gonna make.
Well, yeah, I think it is weird. We do focus on that one negative thing, and it doesn't paint a realistic portrait of like it doesn't. It's not real. It's
Right.
one person, but you got 20 people loving it, and then how many likes did you get on it? And one person says one little thing, and that's what you think of.
Right. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. I touched on this the last time that we spoke, but just how people have a big problem accepting the way the universe works, you know? So
Right,
you're
right.
always gonna have, in my opinion, you're always gonna have racism. You're always gonna have
Yes,
assholes that litter. You're always gonna have, you know, greedy politicians, you know, like you're always gonna like that. This is the human animal, like that's part of it, you know. And I just think the faster you can accept that as part of not even our world and society, as the universe, man, like, you know, you have chaos and you have organization, you have
right,
destruction, you have creation, we live in a very dualistic universe. And to try to eliminate racism, or even be at this point, if you're an adult and you're surprised by racism, this is crazy in my opinion, man. Like, their racism is terrible. It's, people are usually very ignorant when they're racist, but at the same time, hey, they're allowed to be, right? Just like you're allowed to do
right,
whatever you want, you know. Like,
right.
you can't stop it. I mean, you could try to talk sense into them, you could spend time with them, you can have conversation with them. I totally
Right.
condone that, but don't get upset. Fucking just, dude,
Yeah, and I don't want to
remove.
I don't want to diminish those who like have dedicated their life to fighting racism. Like I think that's a noble cause.
It's a noble
But
cause, but it's a futile cause.
yeah, but it does create progress. You might not eliminate racism, but you might help create opportunities where opportunities didn't exist, or you might change a few people's minds. I mean, it's not a totally lost cause. You're not going to eliminate it completely, but it doesn't mean that you can't make some change happen.
You're right. I agree with that.
Um, so
Did
yeah,
you hear
so
Rogan had this guy named Daryl Davis on? Um, Daryl Davis is a jazz musician, but he's also responsible. He wrote a book and everything. He didn't convert, but he, however you want to put it, talked sense into many, many members of the Ku Klux Klan. Um,
no
wherever
shit.
he was, yeah, wherever he
See,
was in the
that's what I'm
South,
talking about.
yeah, wherever he was in the South, you know, he'd be playing jazz, and like the first story is like this guy, you know, the Klan member came in, and he didn't know he was a Klan member, and the guy, you know, the Klan member's like, I never saw a black person, you know, be able to play that well, or whatever it was. And just by Daryl Davis talking to this guy and showing him, basically revealing how ignorant that the Klan member was, that I'm a black, you know, this he's a black man, he's intelligent, he's talented, he's articulate, and the Klan member refuted the Klan, gave it up, and he's and
That's
Daryl Davis
dope.
continued to do this. You know, I'm barely scratching the surface, and I'm probably not even saying, you know, telling the story that well, but there's a whole, you know, he wrote a book and everything. So yeah, so it's like, again, dualistic. On one end, I have that belief racism is never going to go away, all these things, but obviously the other end is, yes, you know, beautiful, you know, we can change people's minds, we can create beauty where it didn't exist before, if we can save one life, you know, it's worth it, right?
Right, exactly, exactly. So yeah, so he created this thing called the accountability mirror, and with post-it notes, he would put like his goals. Like he basically went in the mirror and admitted to himself what his problems were, that are his fault basically, and even the ones that weren't. And then he just started making these like little post-it notes of things he can start to do to move forward. and he would check in with himself every day, every few days, with that accountability mirror, look at those post-it notes, and start removing them as he did it, as he
Right.
completed each little goal. And that's what, if you're following me on my Instagram story, like I have like my commissions on little post-it, on little index cards on my magnet board. And as I finish them, I just take them down.
Yeah.
And I just got the idea from that. And I like
Yeah.
the idea. Go ahead.
And I think it's so important, man. One step at a time, one day at a time, one goal at a time. You know, don't ask me where I want to be in 10 years. Ask me where I want to be in 10 weeks or 10
Yeah,
days.
yeah, yeah.
Just one thing at a time. I remember my ex-girlfriend a long time ago, she was super overwhelmed with life and bills, and she had so much shit, and she showed me her board of all the shit she had to do. She wrote it all down, everything, and I go, "Oh, I'm so jealous of you." I go, "You're so lucky." And she goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I go, "You're so lucky because you have so much shit to cross off your list. You have
Right,
so many things that you're gonna get done and accomplished, and it's gonna feel so good putting a black line through all those things." I said, "Yeah." I was like, "You're so lucky, you know."
right, right. That's great. That's a good, great way of looking at it. Yeah, it's about embracing those challenges. Like people just, I mean, social media gives you an outlet to complain and get attention, and other people make you feel better, but it doesn't
Right.
change you. If you're like, I see a lot of people on Facebook who are always complaining, and then they get like, a bunch of people saying it's going to be okay, and then like, oh great, I feel better. But then next week they're complaining about something else
Yeah, because they didn't
because
get shit done.
they're relying on other people to self-soothe. They have
Right.
no ability to self-soothe. And I think that's something that we're kind of talking about, is learning to take care of yourself a little more,
Yeah.
learning to be the one that can calm yourself and take care of yourself. Like that's all really important stuff.
Totally, man.
So that's the accountability mirror. And I think it's hard for all of us to look in the mirror and honestly see who we are, but I think when you can do that, you're on the road to progress. And
Yeah.
that's really what we're talking about today, is being better versions of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it surprises me when people when they don't want to do that, man. You know, it's like,
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, and this is what the book gets into, it is hard, it is challenging, it is uncomfortable, but
yeah,
all of those reasons are what make it necessary. And by learning to be uncomfortable and deal with uncomfortable things, you grow, you get stronger, and you can
yeah,
handle more and more uncomfortableness. And like with Goggins, you just see how his whole life is about, when he reaches a point where he's no longer suffering, he's unhappy. He has just
right.
found happiness in, I think he's, I mean, look, I don't want to be as extreme as him. And I tend, like when I listen to him, I tend to be like, I'm a little, he's so hard, like on, like his mind is so callous and so hard.
Hmm.
It's
Yep.
great. But like I have these beliefs in more Eastern ideas and more peaceful ideas that are important to me. Not to dismiss at all what he's saying, but I
Hmm.
think his point in the book is you don't have to be like me. You this is all about being a better version of you, and you have to
That
define what that is for yourself.
he stresses that. He stresses that.
He definitely does. And he says, don't look to me as an example. I'm not an example.
Yeah.
Um, and then he also talks about, this is what I was listening to again yesterday. Um, we've created a culture where people are hiring people to hold themselves accountable. Like I'm I need to lose some weight, I need to be healthier. Let me hire a trainer.
Mm.
And I get I get the idea of, I don't know how the body works. Let me hire someone who understands it better, can teach me how to do it better. That's important and that's good. But his
Hmm.
point is, when those when that 10-week training session's over, then what? Have you changed? Are you continuing to live that way and meet those physical challenges? and like people have like life coaches to hold them responsible for things they say and do. I mean, he talks about how ridiculous it kind of is, and I get the idea. I'm of the mind, whatever helps you, great. But if like if you go on Weight Watchers and then like you fall off, and then like a month later you're just back to your old ways, like that's not good. That's not growth. So
Right.
it's
So,
about, well, go ahead.
so, I guess I have a couple things to say. So I feel like, you want to take whatever, a diet, a personal trainer. So like us reading his book could be compared to like, okay, we had a personal trainer, right? Like
Right, right,
right. So like, okay, like while we were reading his book, he was like our personal trainer on the concepts we're talking about now.
right,
Okay. The book's finished. We shouldn't need him to come out with a new book every fucking month so we could keep reading it and keep being inspired. And he talks about this, the difference between motivation and drive.
right.
Like,
Exactly, exactly.
he's like motivation, that's motivation. Getting a personal trainer for however many weeks, okay. Drive is that fucking undying energy in your heart that you cannot stop doing what you're doing. And he preaches that that's what you need to develop.
Right. He
So
says it's
so I'm okay. Okay, you want to get a personal trainer for a little while because you don't know how to work out or whatever. Okay, do it, but that's a band-aid. Okay, the wound is gonna
right,
heal. The wound is gonna heal, and you take the fucking band-aid off, and now you're good to go. Don't get caught
right,
in that.
right,
I remember a buddy of mine told me this once. I'm all for therapy. That's fine. Okay. Do same thing with the personal trainer. I'm all for it, but there's an expiration date. And my buddy said to
right,
me one time, he's like, therapy is for people that are living in the past. So that's valid, but again, I definitely condone therapy. It's good. Some people need it, but again, go to your therapist. you know, Same thing with gambling. When you walk into a casino, you should have a set amount of money you're ready to lose, and when you're done, walk out. Have discipline, walk out. When you walk into your therapist, assess your problem, assess how much time you think you're going to need. It could change, whatever. You could be flexible, but assess it. Say, okay, I'm going to go for this many sessions, and then I'm going to fucking get over this.
right.
I'm gonna,
It's like what he's saying is motivation is fleeting, and you've got to put in the work. Like when you're in the room with the therapist is challenging you,
right.
and but when you leave that office, then it's about you putting in the work.
Right, right. Being with the therapist is just a fraction of it. Like that's like
Right.
you're getting your assignment, then you leave, and now you got to do the whole research. Now you got to develop your whole thesis paper. You got to like that's just the start.
Exactly. Exactly. That's totally right. So,
Yeah, but again, man, just accountability versus blame. Like just ask yourself. Not anybody listen to this. Ask yourself, when are you holding yourself accountable, and when are you blaming others, and is it what's appropriate in the given situation that you're applying that to.
right, right. And it's also not to say like you're not a victim of whatever it is you're feeling you're a victim of. Sure, you
Right,
probably are, but
right.
that's just life, and we've got to learn
Exactly,
to deal with it.
exactly.
I mean, when I was a kid, I remember so much adversity dealing with, A, because I was Jewish, B, because I was short, I was small, and like I faced my challenges.
Yeah,
And it sucked for, a long time as a kid, but it also made me strong enough to learn how to be a fighter in life. And like I wouldn't change that stuff. I mean the racism I might have experienced, I wouldn't change it. It taught me shit.
yep,
It's not good. I mean, it's good if you choose to use it as a tool, I guess. It's not
right,
good that it's there, but it's
right,
going to happen. Like we're all going to face some sort of adversity. So,
right. But again, man, it's just the reality of living on this planet in this society. Same thing in nature. You want to if you're living in a climate and it gets real cold, if like you want to experience a winter before you have to experience like a terrible winter, like
right,
you want to get conditioned to that, man. This is not we've developed a soft society, but that's after like how many how many people have died over the ages, you know, for us to learn that we need air conditioning, that we need clothing, that we need all these amenities, you know. I mean,
Right.
you know, so yeah, it's unfortunate that we got to go through hardship, but we live on a fucking tough planet, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, just, I mean, imagine being a wild animal. Like,
Oh my God.
if you don't catch a meal, you're just gonna die. And there's no like, oh, the universe is plotting against me. I can't eat.
Right. Right. They don't think of that shit.
I mean, and animals have this amazing ability to just deal with what's in front of them.
Right. Right. There's no right. Right. They're so
You
in the
know,
moment. Like it's
you
almost
can,
like a blessing that they have like they don't have the type of brain or the part of their brain
right,
that like thinks about the future and thinks about the past and a month ago this tree had all these berries and now I'm coming back and there's no more berries. Oh fuck, you know, like it's just, oh, this tree has no berries, move on to the next one. Oh, this, it's just right in that, whatever that current moment situation presents, they react accordingly and keep it moving, you know.
right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I mean, you can see whenever you watch a nature show, you can see how hard life is and how, I mean, you could use the word almost like unfair and cruel, but it's just reality.
It's just reality.
And we've got to learn to deal with that stuff. That's the point. That's absolutely the point. So he also talks about this idea he calls callousing your mind, and I think that's kind of we've addressed some of that.
Yeah.
But it's about seeing these opportunities, these challenges, these painful moments as opportunities to harden your mind, to not react emotionally, to like just me standing in the shower, just to find some calm in a very stressful moment. And I've talked about yoga. Yoga's my teacher. It teaches
Mhm.
me, like, here, Sean, put yourself in this extremely physically stressful position. Now stay there, hold it, breathe slowly, and find calm. And that's my teacher in life, is to try to achieve that level of calmness under these stressful, difficult, strenuous moments and find
Right.
calm. And like, just on a tangent here, the one thing that drives me crazy about how popular yoga is becoming is I see all these like Western minded, like work hard, like exercise hard, sweat, pain, come in, and they're not finding calm in these poses. They think it's just about that pain, and you just hear them like in the poses, you can hear their breathing is so stressful,
Right.
and it's like you're missing the whole point. Don't push yourself further into that pose. Find that calm in your mind.
Right.
And that's one thing that drives me a little crazy with yoga. But yeah, it's this idea of callousing your mind, and that's exactly what I think we should be doing, working towards that.
Yeah, and I wonder what's the difference between, you know, because this, most people generally don't do this. So like what's the difference between us and most people, where most people run from that, you know? And
I think
I'm not, dude, like, dude, you know, every time there's some hard situation, I'm not fucking gung ho, let's do
no,
it.
no, no, we're not perfect.
Right,
It's all a lesson
right,
and an opportunity, but we're
right,
trying. I mean, we are
right,
trying. I think that's the key. It's not to get to a point where like, all right, I'm good, I got this shit. No, it's
right.
it's just always about trying and keep pushing your attempts.
Yeah,
What is it that makes us different? I don't know. I mean, I I don't think you could have a career in this without some of that in you, because you have to face so much adversity. Well, you used to have to face so much adversity. Actually, this is a good point to get into. You used to have to face so much adversity to just have this career. So
mm,
it was not for people who didn't have that fight in them. So Goggins talks about, and this is directly related to what I was just getting into. He talks about how we become a society obsessed with maximizing um, success and profits with minimizing effort.
Right.
And he talks about that as being a negative thing. And that's something I've kind of tapped into on my podcast with comics, is you see people just kind of coming in, and because they have like a large following on social media or whatever, they're getting handed these opportunities that they are just not ready for, and how the medium itself even suffers from that. The quality of the work coming out, it's like they're fast, they get it done, and the work is mediocre. And I've seen
Right.
people say, I've seen this said to Eric a few times, you work too hard. Like watching
Oh,
them draw, like
right.
and it's like, you're missing the fucking point of this. The point of this
Yeah.
is to work hard. The point of this is to challenge yourself. Like I what we've become is people. There are artists who are so successful whose art is absolutely digestible within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Within 5 seconds of seeing that piece of artwork, you've got all it has to offer. It's a quick little gag, it's a cute little drawing, but there's nothing else in it. Whereas, like that work to me, it doesn't speak to me. I like to
Dude,
look at art
that's
where at first I'm like, God damn, that's beautiful, or that's amazing. But then the more I look at it, it opens up more and more. And I see the decisions, I see the challenges, I see the lessons. And it just, it's hard for me to like understand how, I guess I almost understand it. People just want that like quick little jolt, and that's all they want from the art. And
right.
I guess that comes from, I mean, socially, because of social media and our quick little attention spans, that's what everyone's looking for. And look, life is very hard and challenging and busy. So I guess I understand that aspect of it. But
Yeah, something that always it used to bother me, but again, but now with, you know, what I've the way I look at life now, I don't really care anymore. But these artists that would just basically draw the same thing every fucking time. Like
yeah,
that's their little character. That's what they draw. Maybe it's a different the character's doing one thing or the other, but it's, you know what I'm talking about. These artists that
yeah,
just kind of, yeah, and I'm always like, number one, how are you okay, and to preface this, they anybody can do whatever they want, good for them,
right,
whatever.
right, right,
But
right, right.
but but I say to
I'm
myself like,
talking about for me and why I don't do that and why I don't enjoy that. But go
right, I
ahead.
just say to myself, how are these people fulfilled? Like, how does that
Right.
fulfill them to just do the same kind of little character over and over again? But I guess maybe, I don't know, but maybe they get the fulfillment. A lot of times these artists do have big audiences. And I guess maybe that's where they get the fulfillment from, is the audiences love it. The audiences leave all the comments and love it and appreciate it and buy it. And that's where they get their fulfillment. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. And I mean that, just to get into more what Goggins was saying, it was like we've just like, I don't want to take that easy route. I don't want to. What we have become soft
Yep.
in our expectations and our work. The idea of maximizing profits and minimizing work, it doesn't go along with my moral system.
Right.
My moral system has always been work hard, push yourself, and constantly grow.
Right.
And the artwork I enjoy, I see the challenges in it, and I see it makes you think. The more you look at it, and I think, when we look at like art history, these pieces that have stood the test of time, they're there making you think.
Right.
They're challenging you. You don't go into a museum where you can walk by each painting in 2 seconds. You got everything it has to offer.
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, I think comics has gone down that road in an unhealthy way. And I mean, I think sales for like DC and Marvel can kind of reflect that too.
Yeah. It's I wish there weren't so many formulas, like
Yeah.
these people are,
And
following the formula, what works, what's going to sell, or
right. And
like
it's like, I almost get it because we are busier than ever and there's more information coming at us than ever before, but we're almost letting the tail wag the dog by surrendering to that
Right.
and not challenging that idea. Like, I think
I
we
just
need to
have
be
I just had this thought. It's like an oxymoron, you know. It's almost like a luxury for us to push ourselves so hard, and maybe you don't have that much time, maybe most people don't have that much time, but like we're like, no, I'm going to take the extra time to figure some shit out and to get better. And it's almost like a luxury for us, but at the same time it's not a luxury, it's a fucking super hard challenge, you know.
right, right. But
But
again,
yeah, maybe some people that that have some formula that sells and they're successful. It's like, okay, I got kids, I got bills to pay. But then I've just thought about you instantly. You got
right.
the same
I was
shit.
just gonna say, I've
Right.
got that
Right.
too. And look, I
Right.
could definitely make challenge. I could definitely make choices that would make me more money.
Right.
That would
Right.
make me, I could make choices where I could turn my career now, where I look at the work I do and I'm very happy with it. I look at the colleagues I'm surrounded with and the artists who I'm friendly with, and I'm very happy and and I'm inspired and admire all of them. I could change a lot of that to something that's much easier for me, that will allow me to pump out shit faster and make more money. But when I think about that, I'm like, well, but that's not why I do this. So if I do that, I might as well get any sort of desk job because it's the same fucking thing to me.
Right. I think the same thing. My covers, when I do published covers and Marvel, DC, whatever, they take me so long, man. I mean, not like they don't take me forever, but they take me longer than what the payment would uh, make sense for.
Right,
But
right.
that's my choice, man. I want my work to be at a certain level, a certain caliber, um, and I put the time in. Sure, everything you said, I could do the same thing, man. I could take little shortcuts. I could go faster. I could leave things looser. There's all these little formulas I could apply to just kind of get the job done quicker and get paid more and do more covers. But again, I have the luxury of I'm single, I live alone, I don't have crazy bills, so I'm able to put more time into my work, take a little bit more. I don't want to use the word pride. I just, I just want my work to be fucking great, man.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and that's not pride. I mean, look, I don't do art because it's easy.
right,
I do it because it's challenging every time I sit down to do it. I feel like if it ever feels easy, you're dead. Like I
yeah,
don't want to reach that point.
yep,
So I have to constantly make sure I'm challenging myself to be better. And I can look at my work over the years and see continual growth. I
yeah,
know I did. I know I like some artists you just see, they just come in with this ability that seems inhuman. I mean, like, let's talk about Eric, for example. His skill level is absolutely off the charts, but it wasn't just given to him.
mm-hmm,
That dude started working professionally as an animator at 16 years old.
right.
He puts in the hours, he puts in the grind, and he gets better and better and better.
Yeah, did you see his most recent post of the Doctor Doom? He wrote
Yes,
he
yes,
not the Doctor Doom itself,
right.
but a day or two later he posted the fucking little Tootsie Roll pop thing, and then it said
Right.
how many times did it take me to redraw this Doctor Doom pose? Like how many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie
Exactly,
Pop?
exactly.
And seven, and he wrote seven excruciating times. And
Yeah.
dude, me and you have seen it. That ain't the first time I've seen that. I've
No,
seen
at
him,
conventions we see it
of
all day
course,
long.
right, right. I've seen him throw away shit that I'm
Me
like,
too.
give that to me. I don't, I'll take it.
Dude, I stay in the room with him. I look in the trash can
Right,
and see this torn
right,
up drawing. That I'm like, what the fuck?
right.
It's crazy, but I respect the fuck out of it.
Yeah, and that's why, man, because he won't settle for what he thinks is less.
Dude, Mateo's another example. When
Yeah,
I first met Mateo, he was not near the skill level he is now. He
yeah,
was great, but now he's like superstar awesome.
yeah,
And that motherfucker just sat down and did the work.
Dude, I will never in my life forget the year at New York Comic Con where he did all of the Walking Dead characters
Yes.
standing on top of a broken down car, all killing zombies. It was two 11 by 17s that he taped together. He did that at a fucking convention,
I
man.
know.
That was
I'm
that.
pretty sure they ended up printing that cover.
Oh, they made that a yeah, dude. I mean, that was
I want to say they did. I can't say for certain, but I'm pretty sure I remember that happening.
yeah, that was insane, man.
Crazy, man. But yeah, I mean, and so yeah, I think like this idea that Goggins was talking about, we've just become this soft society looking for easier and faster ways to do things that maximize profits and results.
Hmm.
I can't get behind it. I mean, I've made some difficult life choices to do it this way, and I feel bad. I think I make my family suffer financially for it every day of my life, but I also think about the example I'm setting too, and I think that's
You're
valuable.
you're you're also a better person for it, and you're gonna raise your kids better for it, and you're gonna influence your wife better for it, and she's gonna take that to her coworkers and her friends and better their lives. It's not all about money.
Right, right. That's very true, man. And look, and I've made my bed where I've made my financial life hard on me, but all the growth I've done has made me accept that. And it's just made me want to work harder to make better money doing it my way, challenging myself, pushing myself, striving to be better and better each time.
Yep.
And this book, man, this book has really kind of shed a lot of light on that for me.
Yeah, man.
Opened it up. So what other things does he talk about in here? Like, I don't think we need to do a book report where we tell each of his stories. Just look, we are recommending this book highly to everybody, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many great lessons in here.
Yeah. I like the whole. Maybe we touched on this a little bit, but like he has you do these challenges. He has you
Right,
keep a little
right.
diary of challenges. And that's what's great about the book, man. Is it's like interactive.
Yeah,
After every chapter, he has these challenges for you to do. So
yes.
I mean, that's great. I remember my ex-girlfriend, my most recent one, like I was with her when the book came out, and she does CrossFit. She's into that shit also, man, pushing herself and everything, and she would mess with me, like, if she wanted to go skydiving or something or whatever, and I'm like, I don't want that. She's like, that's your challenge, do it. I was like,
Right.
I still didn't do it, but you know what I'm
Right,
saying,
right,
like,
right.
but they
Well,
were like,
when it comes
but
to
but
skydiving, I mean, for me, it's not just about like, oh, I'm being soft by not wanting to go. It's, oh, I've got people to consider. That's a risk. Like, there's a
yeah,
significant risk involved that I can't justify. If my kids were to not have a dad because he wanted to go jump out of
yeah.
an airplane, that's not something I think I should be doing.
Yeah, that was just the example that came to mind immediately. But there was a bunch of times, when we were together that she would like fuck with me. I'd say I don't want to do it, and she'd be like, "What would David Goggins say? This is your challenge. This is your challenge for the day. Do it." I'm like, "Fuck! I created a monster." She always,
It's
she always
true
give me
though,
shit.
man.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a great resource. And I gotta add, you and I both did the audio book, which is different than the print book
Right.
because like there's an element of the audio book that's a podcast between him and the guy who basically wrote the book with him, and they talk about like each little story that the book covers. Um, in podcast form as the book is happening. And I
Yeah.
think that really added a nice element to the book that made it a really unique experience.
Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, what is there? I'm trying to think like what other shit was covered that we should be talking about here. We talked about callousing the mind. talked about the accountability mirror, talked about the softening of things. Um,
Talked about that 40% rule.
yeah,
That's my
that
favorite book.
40% rule I put into use every day of my life. I think about that. That's a big one, man.
Yep.
Um, shit, I was just gonna say one thing. I don't know. I recommend the book. It has changed so much for me. What do you think about him? Let me ask you that. That's another thing I did want to talk about. What do you think about David Goggins as you're listening to the book?
You know, he said, he repeats it a lot that, you know, he's not special. Anybody can kind of do it.
Right, right,
I get that. I also sort of do think that he is a specific kind of person. I'm not saying he's special, but I do
right.
think that
Yeah. I
he,
mean, there's a bit of a masochist in him that I don't want to have.
right. And there is definitely a, you know, we're all like a product of our environment. And uh, I'm not saying that we all can't arrive at the same place, but take different routes to get there. But
Right,
I feel like the place that he arrived at, the place that we're commending so much, um, I feel like you do I'm sort of, I'm, you know, disagreeing with myself as I say it. I was kind of going to say it's easier to arrive at that place when you already are born into such a naturally hard and you know, kind of ridiculed life. But at the same time, that's not true, because, you know, people kill themselves. People fucking,
right,
you know,
right,
people do handle people do handle the same situations way differently. So,
right.
um, but but yeah, I mean, you know, he is a specific kind of guy. Um,
Yeah, I mean, like there's a point in the book where he talks about when he's a Navy SEAL and he's like off on I forget what it's called, tour or whatever it is, and he doesn't hang out with the platoon
right,
like at socially, and he sort of isolates himself. And
right,
like that's something where I'm like, I don't want to be like that. Like he does kind of isolate himself in almost a prideful way at times that I can't get behind. But like there was a point where like his commanding officer was like, look, you should hang out with the troop more. It helps build a better bond between everyone.
right,
And he just, I don't know if it's not in him, but he just won't do it. And that's where I'm like, that's where he's like choosing to suffer unnecessarily. Like I'm all for like
yeah,
socializing and bonding. I don't want my life to just wake up and be like, how much misery can I find today to drive me forward?
right,
Like I
right,
want to have my downtime. I think that's important. And he does talk about sleep being important, but doesn't talk about like joy being important. And I think it is.
right. In one of the I think it was one of the Punisher on Netflix. Forgot what's, might have been the first. I think it was close to the beginning, but
I
you
enjoyed
know,
that series.
I love that series, man. But he said something very David Goggins and very Zen. He said he was meeting up with his buddy, and his buddy said something like, you know, oh Frank, you know, why don't you just kick back? Why don't you just, you know, relax or whatever? And damn it, I forgot the exact quote of Frank Castle, Punisher. He says, you know, like relax. I'm gonna get this wrong, man. He says like relaxing is like a kick in the nuts waiting to happen, or something like that.
Yeah, I think that works good in showing you who the Punisher is, and I don't want to be the Punisher.
Yeah, but it was just it was along those lines where it's like just when you get comfortable, it's just you're just waiting to to get to get your heart broken or whatever. Like where
Right,
when
right. And
desire.
Goggins does say similar
Yeah,
stuff to that. But you
yeah,
know,
and I think, I mean, we weren't there, so obviously we have no fucking idea. But he kind of alludes, and you know, this, you know, there's always two sides of the story. But he alludes that he was so extreme in his nature that it was making all the other guys look bad, and they were kind of saying, "Yo, motherfucker, like, yo, chill, like, you're making us look bad," and that's kind of why they didn't like him, because he was
right.
so gung-ho, he was so
Right.
hard that even that the guys were like, yo, this is hard. Like, we're already going hard. Like, you're making us look bad. And I think that's where that
Yeah, yeah. But I also like the book covers that he's been through a bunch of failed marriages because of how, I don't know if he owns it to this extent, but it's almost like you're teaching me so much and there's so many great lessons in this, but at the same time, you're not able to function in a way other than that serves you.
right.
That I found like that's a little bit, I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
I don't want to be to that extreme, but that's a minor little quibble. The book is full of so much valuable information.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's like, certain people are going to attract to certain people. Like, not every woman's going to be able to deal with that, So,
Yeah,
so I
but I
mean,
guess my point is it's almost like a very selfish way of being.
yeah.
What he
But I
was
think,
doing. I'm not saying like,
yeah, but I think we all kind of make agreements, and it's like if his wife or again, I don't know, whatever, but it's like if you're gonna be with someone like that, and he was like that when you met him, hey,
sure.
that's him, that's him. So
Well, right, sure. Yeah, and that's fine. I just, for me, I see that as like, that's not something to model yourself after or admire about the way he is.
right,
It's like he's cut himself off from availability in a lot of
mm,
ways.
right. I remember, I don't know where it was. Maybe it was on one of his Facebook Live things or something, but someone asked him about his current wife or something, or like, is it hard for her to be around you or whatever? And he's like, hell no. He's like, she's just like me.
Well, then that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
That's where I'm kind of, that's why I just said that.
Right, right. Yeah, and he does seem like he's in a good marriage now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so his name is David Goggins. The book is called
Can't hurt me.
Can't Hurt Me. That's right. That's right. So highly recommend listening to it. Um, is there
and and
anything?
and when he talks about that I mean, the meaning of that title, I mean, we touched on it, is like, why can't you hurt him? And he says this, why can't you hurt him? Because he's already been through all the hardest shit. He says there's nothing more you can do to me. I've been through
Right,
it all, so you
right.
cannot fucking hurt me.
Exactly, exactly. And it's true, man. You hear his story, it's fucking crazy. Um, I
It
don't
ain't for
know.
the faint. It ain't for the faint of heart, though. So if you pick that book up, just know you're getting into
Yeah, I
something.
mean, it's going to force you to take a hard look at yourself that you need to make sure you're ready to do.
Yeah.
And look, if you are ready, you can guarantee it's going to push you into a very uncomfortable, almost painful place, but you're going to grow from it.
Yep.
And that's really what the reason we both enjoyed it is. I mean, you were dealing with your shit, I was dealing with my shit, but it helped me deal with it.
Yep. And I'm not comparing him to some religious figure, but all the great religious figures went through some terrible suffering. The Buddha,
Yeah.
Siddhartha the Buddha, he lived as an ascetic for however long. Jesus went into the desert. Moses and the Jews wandered the desert 40 years. Like, all the great leaders
Yeah. Yeah.
went through some shit.
For sure. For sure. All right, man. Is there anything you feel like we didn't cover that we should have covered while talking about this?
Man, I should have kind of skimmed the book before we did the podcast, but no, I mean,
I think we
I
did
think
a
we
good
did a
job.
yeah,
I
we
don't
did
think
a
we
great.
missed anything small. I mean, look, if anything, hopefully we got across to you the how helpful and useful a tool this book can be
Yeah,
for growth. So if we've
yeah,
done that, I think we've done our job.
yep, for sure, man.
All right, homie. I'm gonna call it then. now that we've covered the book, hold on, let me switch cameras to say goodbye. Switch microphones.
All right. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you were watching, Jeff, thanks for having this conversation with me.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.
And I'll see you on the next episode.